Hope you're all having a wonderful day. I hope it's eventful. I'm sitting here today just thinking about fluidity, on how being fluid in our lives allows us to succeed. And if you're solid in your life, you're a pillar that gets stuck, and it doesn't allow us to succeed. And you know, I'm saying this in the wrong way. So basically, being fluid allows you to overcome any obstacles that you have. So if you have a pillar in front of you, you have the ability to go around it. It lets you make a decision that doesn't make you get stuck in your way, which allows you to remove your ego from the situation. You know, I watch a lot of movies. I wonder why I have like a gladiator helmet or the Leonidas helmet from the 300. Really, it comes back down to fluidity, right? And the journey. So like, take Gladiator for an example. In Gladiator, you've got this general, all of a sudden this guy gets removed because somebody's jealous of him, takes him down to the pits, he's fighting with the slaves as a gladiator in the arena, expected to be dead. And what he does is he changes the situation of what he's in. So one moment he's on top of the world, the next moment he's fighting for his life and saving people he has no clue how to save. So really being fluid allowed him to succeed, because what life throws at you, you really have no idea. You've got no idea of what's coming next, how it's going to happen. We may have these great plans that I'm going to do this tomorrow, I'm going to change this tomorrow, I'm going to do this the next day, year 3 I'm going to do this, year 4 I'm going to do this. But usually when you think you got it by the horns, or you have life by the horns, it throws you another curveball. And when that curveball hits you, you say, well, what do I do? You can sit there and take the curveball in the head and lie on the floor and say, oh man, this sucks. But really, you can use it to your advantage and say, well, how do I achieve my objective? Or how do I get to where I'm going to add to the lessons that you need to learn? You know, my daily job as a CEO, for that title, is taking bullets and trying to come up with solutions to keep us flowing. So let's take that we have I'll use a delivery. We have a delivery that we're trying to make, and something goes wrong. Truck wheel blows up, or I don't know, something happens, driver calls in sick, I don't know, something happens. But what the job then is how do I maneuver around the situation? How do I go from here's my negative, the driver didn't show up, or I have a flat wheel, to me making sure that I have a second truck on the way, I have somebody coming to fix it, I delay it, I call the customer. I move things around so that I can actually maneuver the situation. This goes into business life, this goes into personal life, this goes into me taking a walk on the street and, someone trying to sell me flowers. I don't, it just, there's always the ability to be fluid. You just have to be aware that there's multiple avenues that you can take to get through the situation. I'll give you an example. When I first took one of these big buildings, and I'll go to business first before I give you a personal experience. When I took on this big building, I was expecting this giant client to move in, to make sure that all my bills were paid, and really I thought, okay, this is my plan. When I moved into the building, the customer didn't come. So I'm sitting here in the building saying, oh my God, did I just make the biggest mistake of my life? Did I make the biggest mistake of my life, saying, how am I going to pay the rent? How am I going to do this? What about the people I just hired? Life threw me a curveball. And I decided to say, okay, this means now I've got space to sell. I've got to go and sell the space. I need to go and make sure I've got more clients in here. I have to make sure that I keep moving. I couldn't be stagnant sitting there for things to fall apart. And I think I mentioned in the last video that we have this map on the wall at one of our new locations. And this map's been there for the past 18 years. And on there was the USSR. And it was seeing a country that couldn't maneuver around or be fluid around the situation that they were facing with. Everybody got stuck in their way. No one was capable of changing things because we're creatures of habit. if they had changed things, maybe Russia would have been a different place, or maybe they would have been different in society. And I'm not saying about whether Russia is a good place or bad place, because really I don't even care. But seeing all those changes would have allowed them to maneuver around the world. Because when you look at our government, or you look at big corporations, those corporations, as they have these leaders in there, the leaders who are button pushing, and all they're doing is they're doing this every day. They're pushing a button. They're pushing a button because everything's simple. Rather than trying to say, how do we become more creative human beings? Because every single one of you are creative. You have this creative ability inside you, but we choose convenience because convenience is comfortable. When I'm sitting there at home and I say, okay, it's very easy for me to watch TV all day. It's very easy. I can go through Netflix. I can go through these different channels. It's very easy for me to sit there. But if I want to be creative and I want to be fluid, I say, okay, well, what can I do to better my life? What can I do to improve the situation? What can I do to make a difference? Do I want to be sitting there for the next 10 years doing the same thing and missing out on the opportunities that are here today? They're sitting right in front of us. Back to the movies, I take Leonidas, like with this little helmet that you see here, of why I value the movie 300 and Gladiator. Leonidas in this movie 300, which is one of my favorites, was this king, great fighters. They were fantastic. And what happens is the Persians, and in the movie this is, were coming to invade, trying to have him submit. All he had to do was submit. Very, very simple. His government was corrupt, so the people around him, all these counselors and politicians, casual in the world of how it normally goes down, are corrupt. He doesn't get the opportunity to take his whole army to go fight. So 300 people in this movie go to these caves. So he takes a stroll. Because he's not allowed to go, he makes a maneuver to go to these caves, and he fights over there. And he stays his ground with 300 people versus his army of 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, whatever he has, versus the millions. But if he had just sat there and took what his politicians and these people had said, he would have achieved nothing. He would have motivated no one. And that goes with every single thing that we see. So everything that we see, if you don't maneuver, if you're not fluid, if you're not liquid, you won't get through it. If you sit there and feel sorry for yourself, you're going to be stuck in the mud and you won't get out of it. You have to get out, you have to dig out the mud, you have to figure out, how do I get around this? How do I turn left? How do I turn right? How do I make the move happen? You have to make sure that you're looking at opportunities. You can't sit there and put your hands up in the air and say, hey, time for me to die. Like, you can't say that. You have to find your way out. This is how I've been extremely successful. It was being the scavenger. It was being fluid. It was being liquid. It was going into back alleys to make deals. It was coming into the front to be shining in the spotlight. It was jumping from something that people call me crazy or stupid or doesn't know what he's doing. This guy is full of crap. That's how they looked at me. But little did they know that the scavenger was the dark horse. I was the guy who came and got them in the night when they were sleeping because they had no idea I was coming for them. They had no idea that I was trying to maneuver them or outmaneuver them to make sure that I could win. I could improve the quality of my life, improve the quality of everything that I'm doing. If you follow blindly and you just get stuck in the mud, and now all of a sudden you don't know, is it your ego saying, let me just sit here and let me just take the punches? Is that your ego just saying that because your pride means that you're going to accept or get stuck with what you're given? It's your pride saying, no, I'm the tough guy. I'm the person who knows everything. Because the one thing that I know for sure is I'm extremely fluid. I am more fluid. I'm not the smartest. I'm not the most genius guy, but I am extremely fluid. I am extremely fluid. And I'm emphasizing on this word so you guys drum it into your head that if you want to make it, you can't sit there. With this banking stuff that's going on, you see a bank collapse, the people that you're supposed to have trust in, and you see them collapse, or you see them, hold on to your when you take money out of the bank. When you see this, and you see something's going wrong, trust your intuition to say, hey, do I just keep doing my normal banking and put my paycheck in my bank? I'll use my debit card when I want to buy something. Or do you hold a little cash in your pocket? Maybe I'll buy some gold and silver. Maybe I'm going to buy some cryptocurrency. Maybe I'm going to learn something about it. Maybe I'm seeing that something is wrong in the system. But if you stand stagnant, if you stand because your ego says, no, this is the way, if you say that, or if you believe in that, you're the one who's going to be left there holding the empty bag. You're the one who's going to be sitting there saying, why did I act like this? Why did I do this? When you have the opportunity to say, let me be fluid, let me be ahead of the curve, let me make sure that I'm 5 steps or 6 steps ahead of someone. So these are strategic moves, but be aware of it. Be aware that you have to be fluid. I watch lots of movies, and I was watching Mandalorian on Disney, and it was like this guy was trying to return, I can't remember what that little green guy what name was, but he was trying to return this baby back to the mini Yoda back to his people or where he was going, right, or to the people to train him. But along his journey, he had 50 different things happen. Somebody asks for help, somebody needs this, somebody does that. But out of his awareness or something inside him saying, hey, let's do this. And again, I know it's just a movie, but I'm trying to relate it so that you guys can understand that this is our daily lives. How many times do you look into your life, or how many times do you plan something, do something, and then all of a sudden, it completely goes the wrong way? How many times has that happened to you? How many times were you trying to go to a wedding and your wedding dress got messed up, or your suit got ripped, or you lost your car keys and you couldn't leave your house, car didn't start? You can't sit there and cry about it. It's how do you make effort to go around it? How do you make effort to go around it? What could you have done differently? What was different? What could you have done differently? Everything else around you is still the same. And your reaction is, so it's 10%, and actually I remember this, it was 10% is the action that hits you, and it's 90% your reaction. I remember I used to have this written on my door a long time ago. This was 20 years ago. 10% is an action of something happening towards you, 90% is your reaction. So again, being fluid, understanding that everything is in your hands. You can throw it in the air, you can give up, you can lie down, you can say, I quit, or you can say, I'm fluid, I'm going to succeed, I'm going to make it, I'm going to get through this. I remember when my situation happened, and I remember the guy I worked for, he let me go. He let me go from my job, and I'm sitting there, obviously with the 2 kids, and I'm sitting there saying, well, how the heck am I going to make money? How do I get a job when I've got 2 kids, 2 babies stuck to me, a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I have very limited income where I cannot afford a daycare? So what did I do in that situation? I said, well, it's very easy for me to get rid of the kids. Okay, I'll give it to my parents, and and obviously my family is not even in this country, so everyone is 5,000 miles away. So it was very easy for me to say, let me just give up, throw my hands in the air. But I decided to go out on my own. I decided to start a company or drive a pickup truck with 2 little kids in the back doing pickups and deliveries so I could get through it. And it could take me to the next level. And then as I got to the next level, I said, okay, now I can afford daycare. I'll put the kids in daycare, and now I can work a little harder. And now I can work a little harder. Now I'll get a bigger place. But that was my situation. A single guy by himself with 2 kids. So imagine if I just threw my hands up in the air and I started feeling sorry for myself, and I said, you know what, look how mean the world has been to me. Boo-hoo, I'm crying my eyes out. No, I'm going to own it. I'm going to take it. I'm going to run with it. That's what I'm going to do with it, because that was the opportunity that was given to me. And it's very easy to be emotional, because the more emotional that you are in these situations, the less logical you're going to be thinking. You need to go, number 1, how do I get around the situation? How do I maneuver this? And where am I going? And as I get to step 2, when I get to step 2, what do I do to make the next jump? And then what do I need to make the next jump? And you have to keep your eye on the prize. Figure out what you're doing, how you're going to do it, but you cannot give up. You can never, ever give up. And I want you all to know that it worked for me. And if it worked for me, damn right it's going to work for you. It's really going to work for you. But you have to believe in yourself, because we are all magical beings. We are all magical. I don't care how bad you think the situation is, how dire you think that everything is going to go, how afraid you are of everything that's happening around you. You have to trust that everything happens for the right reason, even though it's the worst thing in the world. It happens for the right reason. It's a great lesson to make you stronger. You're going to fight. You're going to believe in yourself. You're going to come out stronger, and you're going to say, man, I made it. And I made it. Thank you very much.